Donyell Malen is on his way to Aston Villa, Kvaratskhelia looks set to sign for PSG, and Christopher Nkunku wants to sign for Bayern. All of that and much more in today's Football Fix. If you enjoy the video, subscribe for more. Today we start with the Christopher Nkunku news, and this is actually a joint story because talks are ongoing between Chelsea and FC Bayern Munich, but it's still at an early stage. However, some parties apparently have doubts about whether this swap deal can be completed by February 3rd, and the reason I say swap deal is because Matthias Tel is now being heavily linked with Chelsea. You've had Plettigol and Fabrizio Romano talking about this evening. Chelsea held talks about Matthias Tel with Bayern Munich in recent days, early stages of contacts to be informed on his situation. Tel spoke to company roughly 10 days ago, and he wants to succeed at Bayern Munich, but Chelsea have asked for info on him during talks with the German club. So we could see an unconventional deal which used to be significantly more common, but nowadays a swap deal could be on for Tel and Nkunku with Bayern and Chelsea. Vitor Reis is set to sign for Manchester City with a Fabrizio Romano. Here we go. The verbal agreement reached now with Palmeiras on a package with a €40 million fee, and City want it to be an immediate transfer rather than him joining in the summer after going back on loan. He is set for his medical and contract signing as soon as the clubs have checked all documents. Their initial bid was turned down, and that was actually announced by someone at Palmeiras today, but it seems like City have gone straight back in with a second bid that has been approved, signed, sealed and delivered. He is joining. Leicester City have signed Woyo Koulibaly as a new fullback. This is a player that has previously been playing for Parma, mostly as a right back, can also play on the left. Documents have all been completed. This transfer fee is around £3 million, and maybe more significantly than this is the fact that they turned down the opportunity to try and get Kyle Walker-Peters from Southampton, and this is due to the £7 million fee that Southampton are asking for, despite KWP only having 6 months left on his contract. Will they get any money for him, or will he be leaving on a free at the end of the season, potentially when the club get relegated back to the Championship? Would be a big double whammy. Aston Villa have agreed an initial £18 million deal with Borussia Dortmund for Donyell Malen. The fee is agreed in principle, and Villa are hopeful of completing the transfer in the next few days. Talks are ongoing with Fenerbahce over the sale of Diego Carlos in order to try and raise some funds to help pay for this Malen deal. In addition to this, Villa have turned down, apparently, a £30 million bid for John Duran this window, and they say that he is untouchable. Duran signed a new contract extension just in November that goes until June 2030, and Aston Villa are not opening the doors to any kind of January exit, despite a lot of interest from many clubs, and even if someone came in with a big bid, it would have to be large because they have apparently whacked an £80 million price tag on John Duran. Newcastle and Chelsea are keeping close tabs on a return to the Premier League for Fikayo Tomori, ahead of a potential move for the AC Milan defender. Chelsea are very publicly looking for a centre-back right now. There have been many links to Mark Gahey, which we've covered in recent videos, as well as others from around Europe, but Tomori is supposedly going to be made available by AC Milan, and Newcastle are looking at him as well. One other club that are supposedly looking for this Tomori transfer are Tottenham Hotspur, who are desperate for top-level centre-backs because theirs just keep getting injured, so definitely one to keep an eye on over this January transfer window. Tomori could very well be leaving AC Milan this month. Many clubs are interested in Renato Veiga from Chelsea. These are very different deals that are being looked at by a lot of teams. You have people like Leicester coming in that supposedly want him on loan, but Chelsea are looking to sell for big money if they are going to get rid of him in this window. And Veiga himself has agreed personal terms with Borussia Dortmund this January. He wants the move and also potentially to play as a centre-back, which is supposedly his favourite position, but Chelsea don't have space to play him there in the Premier League. However, Chelsea have not agreed a deal with Dortmund yet. This is just personal terms that have been agreed between the player and the club, but no club-to-club deal has been put in place yet. Veiga has been good for Chelsea in the limited minutes. However, if he does want to be playing week in, week out, then a loan move could be really good for him, and it is whether they organise a deal with an option or obligation to buy, or whether Chelsea are going to be desperately keeping hold of him for the future. Leicester City are open to selling Wout Faes this January due to a peculiar deal that has been put into his most recent contract, where if Leicester do go back down to the Championship, he would be available for a very cut price fee going into the summer of 2025. So, Leicester are apparently considering any serious offers that come in around the £15 million mark. They are, as we said before, looking at signing Koulibaly at fullback. Leicester are also looking for a winger, a forward, and another centre-back, which would make a lot more sense if Wout Faes were to leave the club. They also need to raise funds because PSR issues are a constant when it comes to Leicester City. They are potentially going to find out in the next 24 hours whether they breach the most recent period by the Premier League, and that would come with a points deduction, which would be horrific news for Leicester. But Wout Faes, will they try and ship him out if they are able to get a good chunk of the fee that they paid for him back, rather than that cut price fee in the summer? Cristiano Ronaldo is in advanced talks with Al Nassr over a one-year contract extension. Supposedly, discussions began last summer, as revealed by Ben Jacobs back in July, where he said that Al Nassr hoped to extend Cristiano Ronaldo's contract until 2026, giving him one last shot at playing in the 2026 World Cup for Portugal. The move that was potentially going to happen to Al Hilal, supposedly, so that he could face Messi at the Club World Cup, is deemed science fiction by Al Hilal's CEO, and now the news about Al Nassr continuing those contract talks with Ronaldo. It feels like what Ronaldo said at the most recent awards ceremony that he was at about leaving all doors open, potentially to even someone like Man City, are not quite what he was hoping for. Maybe he wants to stay at Al Nassr to secure that last spot in the World Cup for Portugal, and would then have one last role in Europe with anybody that wants him next year. And the final story today is the big one. Kvaratskhelia looks like it is all done between PSG and Napoli. PSG have reached a verbal agreement in principle with Napoli for Khvicha Kvaratskhelia. The deal is in place for €70 million plus add-ons after Fabrizio's exclusive reveal last week. 5-year deal is supposedly what is going to be signed by Kvaratskhelia, and final approval is the only thing that is needed from the owners, and then that is it. It is done. We previously spoke yesterday about how good of a deal Kvaratskhelia is set to get at PSG, and it is going to be a very, very lucrative one for him, especially as an upgrade from moving from Napoli. Lots and lots of clubs were interested in him. You had the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs potentially as well, lots of Premier League, as well as also other big European clubs like Barcelona. But for whatever reason, Kvara has had his eyes set on PSG since last summer and was adamant that this is the club he was going to join, and it looks like it is all but officially announced at this stage. Maybe tomorrow or the day after, we will have final, full confirmation of this monster January transfer. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.